You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Here we go. The Chris Voss Show. I thought I'd do something different today. Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Thechrisvossshow.com. Welcome to the big show, my family and friends. We so appreciate it. Maybe I should start the show out every time. Here you go. Or here we go. Or here we're all going. We're all going down the mountain. So anyway, folks, we have an amazing gentleman on the show. He's written his latest book that just came out. We're going to get into it. And motivation. We like motivation. It's motivational, well, whichever day you're watching, because some of you are watching these videos 10 years from now. So, whatever day you're on and you're listening to this episode, that's the day. I want you to feel guilty, though, and remember, there's 1,400 episodes up of the Chris Voss Show. 14 years we're going on this year. I was just talking about the guys who created the hosting service that were on Blueberry, and they've got me beat by 4 years because I was asking them, how old are some of the oldest podcasts? Because I'm feeling pretty damn old. And they go, yeah, we got you beat by 4 years. And I'm like, well, you guys slow down so I can catch up. We're an old podcast, and we are putting out since 2020 2 to 3 podcasts a day with the most amazing guests that you can think of. And they're brilliant. They're going to make you sexy. They're going to make you hot. You're going to glow with intelligence. You might have to order a whole new cranium off of Amazon. But watch those, the productions we're putting out 2 to 3 a weekday. So that's like 10 to 15 a week. Wow. And if there is anybody out there, I'm going to offer this up. If there's anybody out there who goes and listens from 1 through 1,400, I want to know who you are. And we're going to send you, I don't know, a knife set or something from the bank. Or something, I don't know what we'll send you a signed autograph book of the Chris Voss. Maybe we should have you on the show and find out what's wrong with you if you did. But if anybody ever wants to try doing that, there might be like a Guinness Book of World Records category we can make for it. But go listen to all those things. But yeah, I was talking to Blueberry Hosting today and having some chat with their peeps, and they were figuring out faster ways to deliver the 1,400 episodes. Evidently, it's a little harder to push that sort of volume out every day. And so we figured a way to make that work even better. So make sure you watch the show, but also what I'm setting up is the guilt trip for the plugs. Refer to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss. The blog, there's a blog over there too from us. YouTube and Twitter, LinkedIn, TikTok. You guys know the drill. He is the author of an amazing new book. Dennis McCurdy is on the show with us today. You've been hearing him act up in the background there. He has the I want to do this in a John Wayne voice.
Go ahead.
But the newest book that he has, we're going to wing this one. Suck it up, Cupcake. Stop screwing yourself and get the life you want. That's not even John Wayne, man. I didn't even hit it.
Close enough.
Suck it up, Buttercup. I don't know. If I do the Pilgrim, I'm just not getting it. If Pilgrim used to be my keyword to get into John Wayne. Suck it up, Cupcake. Stop screwing yourself and get the life you want. Available July 26, 2022. We have Dennis McCurdy on the phone, and he's in person. We don't even have him on the phone, man. We brought him in person live. He is a self-employed businessman since the age of 23. He understands what it takes to be successful. His company, McCurdy Group, was awarded the prestigious 5-star designation in 2003. Dennis has started 10 businesses and owned millions of dollars in real estate. He's the president of Adam Beck Institute and speaks frequently about personal development and growth. His 5-week workshop, Find a Way, was developed for individuals who want to invigorate their life, reach for their dreams, and learn new ways to achieve. And they have attended his presentations, and he's practical and down-to-earth coaching guide, as we're going to find on the show. No frills, just lots of meats and potatoes, and he also served in Vietnam, so we might get a little bit of thing. Oh, and he's also a firewalking instructor, so we'll get into that. This is going to be a fun show. Welcome to the show, Dennis. How are you?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Good. I feel like we should have brought fire to the show.
Well, it's hard to do it online like this. We have, plus you need to be at night where you have the effect.
You gotta have
scary
that
during the
beach
day.
night.
Yeah, you need
thing.
those lights.
I'd want the sand too, because the sand could, get you cooled back down after
Absolutely
you walk with a fire.
Wrong thing. The number one rule of firewalking: no walking on sand.
Yeah. Now, is this different than the 9 divorces I had? That was like a different kind of fireworking, to my understanding, or no?
Well, I was talking to Tom Morris. He was a famous author. He used to do some of the Disney commercials, and I said, "Hey, Tom, we should come to a firewalk sometime." And he says, "Dennis," he says, "I've been married for 40 years. I've been walking on thin ice my whole life."
Whoa! I'd switch to fire then. Nice. So, welcome to the show. Give us the .coms. Where do you want people to go and stalk you on the interwebs and find out more about you?
If they want to stalk me, they can very easily stalk me at DennisMcCurdy.com.
There you go.
Sweet and easy.
There you go. So you have 2 books. We should get a plug in here for the earlier book.
3 books.
Kind of the name of some of the seminars and motivational coaching you've been doing, right? So
We have 3 books. So first one is Find a Way, a guide to getting the most out of life. Mm-hmm. The second one is 52 ways to find a way. And the third one is Suck It Up Cupcake, stop screwing yourself and get the life you want. And I'm almost done the 4th, which is the Mastermind, the true power of success.
There you go. The Mastermind, True Power of Success. So I love the title of this book because it seems like we live in a society right now where everyone's like, we call it victimhood competition. Right. And like everyone's like, no, I'm a bigger victim than you are. And you're like, dude, so what? The gal at Starbucks got your latte wrong. She didn't put the cafe macchiato, whatever sprinkles on your thing. And now you're having a complete embolism. Yeah. So what motivates you to title this the way it is? And what's in the book?
Originally it was going to be Release Your Break, but then I thought, hey, you know what? That's nice, but suck it up. I mean, people need to suck it up. Yeah. I just recently did a post that said, basically, I don't know where I read this, but it was like, America's like this huge, delicious chocolate cake surrounded by hungry people too afraid to take a bite.
That's an interesting analogy. When I first saw it, I was like, suck it up cupcake. I'm like, I've been doing this all my life. Have you seen me lately? I've sucked up a lot of
cupcakes. Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Different kind of cupcakes.
Kind of regret that, actually.
I hear you.
But
and that's the whole thing is people need to suck it up and start reaching their goals. The whole statistic with 8% of the people who set a goal for New Year's complete them. 92% don't. Mm-hmm. And next year they set the same goal again and again and again and again.
I used to do that at New Year's. I'd be like, I'm not going to drink this year and I'm not going to wake up with a hangover.
Right.
And then on the 3rd, I'd wake up going, what country am I in?
Right. You're not drinking anymore, but you're not drinking any less either. Right?
I'm never going to do this again next year.
Right.
I'm going to start off on the right foot, and then weight loss and all that good stuff. So let's skip around here. Let's talk about your origin story. Tell us about what shaped you and how you grew up, and kind of got you to where you were in life.
What's funny, I hear people talking all the time about their victims and poor them, poor me. My grandfather was a cracker. He was a sharecropper north of Sherman, Texas. Mm-hmm. So my father was a sharecropper. They went to school. They planted the harvest in April, and they went to school all summer because they had the harvest of cotton in September and October.
Oh wow!
And so they didn't own the land. They didn't own the shack they lived in. They just basically existed. So my father joined the service. I think that was the best thing that ever happened to him because he had 3 squares and shoes.
Yeah.
So, we all come from those kind of basic roots. My father was a drill instructor, so you know my background there.
Oh, yeah. You had to bounce the cord off your bed. And
you got it. My mother used to
folded right.
My mother used to scream at him. The nickname was Mac. She'd go, Mac, they're not recruits. They're little boys.
They didn't sign up for this voluntarily.
Right. They didn't take the oath.
They're not getting paid.
Right. But so I went out, got out of high school. College was not going to be my thing. So I ended up going into service in the Air Force Security Forces. And
there you go.
So I was in Guam, Okinawa, Texas, Vietnam. And for a reward from Vietnam, they sent me to North Dakota. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a that's a whole new killing fields or
Yes,
whatever.
yes, yeah. So
yeah. You're like, please dump Agent Orange on me. I'm in North Dakota. There's nothing up
really,
there but snow and
snow
frostbite.
and there's nothing. In fact, each one of the barracks had to have a little kitchen in it because there were certain days you just were not allowed to leave the building.
Oh wow, because it's so cold.
So cold.
Yeah. And then you had like those people up there like Fargo. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a reason there's only 300,000 or 400,000 people up there, so it's
damn, that's cold, man. So you go up there, and then where do you find your legs going into business? You started your first business, I think, around 23. You said
23. What happened then is I came back and I said, well, I guess I will go to college because that's what everybody says you're supposed to do, and you get the GI Bill. So
yeah, there you go.
I went one semester. And then I met two friends of mine in a coffee shop who said, hey, we're going to start an insurance company and a real estate company. And I said, they were 23 and 25. I said, you can do that?
Wow.
Which is our belief system. Like we can and we can't do things. So they said, yeah, we can and we're going to. So I said, okay. It was like, bye books, hello buildings.
Wow. And you're at the Levittown sort of beginning of that whole boom run of real estate.
Well, actually, at that point in time, I actually didn't do well in real estate because it was 73, 74. So we were just heading into high interest rates.
Oh, that's right. The recession.
In recession, interest rates. I didn't even know what a recession was. And so the rates went from 7 to 8 to 9 to 10 to 11.
With the gas prices,
12.
Too.
Gas prices and 7. Gas prices up. We're standing in line for gas, and so it was interesting times. But one of my mentors had said to me one time, he said, Dennis, if you're going to be in business, he said, make sure that whatever you sell, people have to have. He said, that way you're recession proof. Yeah. And he was a really smart guy. So the insurance business fit that bill. And I figured nobody likes insurance, so there's less competition to sell because nobody wants to do it.
Yeah. And it's a hell of a business because the residual effect on it too.
That's why I did it.
Yeah, and people need insurance.
They have to have insurance. Yeah. What do they want? Our sign out on front of our office says, "Insurance. You need it. We got it."
There you go. I can agree with you. My father was in insurance, and he liked the residual nature of it. And I used to look at him, and I'm like, well, it's either insurance or funeral homes because everyone needs a funeral home,
right?
But I could never do that embolism, embalming, whatever they do. That's not for me.
I have a client who does that, and it's like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, they're always kind of odd fellers, aren't they? A little bit.
She is. She's kind of a very woo. But
they're always kind of they're kind of quiet. They kind of that serial killer vibe, but they're nice people. So
they are nice people. Yeah.
I've lost like two of the funeral home directors, and I'm pretty sure in our audience right now. So there we go.
So for me, it was basically once I learned about how to, even though I had failed in real estate the first year or two, I ended up starting my own real estate company along with the insurance business, and I was buying buildings, flipping them. So I built spec houses. We did all the thing is, it just kind of came to me like, hey, if that guy over there did it, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
And you just start. And that's the first chapter of the new book. It's called Start.
Then this is the new book you're working on.
The new book. The new one that just came out last July. So it just start. Even if it's small, start.
And start's a really good principle because we talked about on the show. I've had like friends who are like, "Hey, Chris, I want to start a business like yours." Okay, we'll go do it. Well, I'm just waiting for things to be perfect.
Right.
And you're like, dude, it's never gonna be perfect. It's a mess, and it never stops being a mess.
Exactly.
And then you'll see them like years later, and you're like, "Hey, did you start that business?" And they're like, "I'm waiting for things to be perfect."
Right. Well,
you're like, dude, you just gotta start.
Here's the book. If I can put it right there somewhere. Okay.
There you go.
But here's the first drawing, and it says, Becky and Justin and Becky have been waiting to start their business, waiting for the right time. And it's two skeletons, and it's like, that's what people do.
Yeah. I'm still doing that for my first wedding, my first marriage. I think my soulmate is one of those skeletons going, Chris is going to call at any time.
Right.
which is probably never going to happen.
It saves on divorce costs, so
It does. That's why I never got married. I haven't saved up enough for the divorce attorneys.
There you go.
And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna do a speed run since I'm behind everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone my age has 2 to 3 divorces under me. So what I'm going to do is try and catch everybody up. Yeah, just divorce like 1 week after time. I'll get married in Vegas.
Just like you go to Vegas and get
Yep. I'm just gonna like a week later. I'm just gonna be sorry, honey. This isn't working out. Here's $1 million. Go bye. See ya. And then I don't know. I'll marry your sister. I don't know what's up with that. Anyway, so give us more of an in-depth overview of what's inside of Suck It Up. When you meant it, did you mean it kind of as a good slap to the face, like
correct?
Suck it up, Cupcake. Yeah. Put your boots on.
It's tough love, but
there you go.
Not harsh love. It's just like it's there. I know. Well, having grown up with a father as a drill instructor, I know the difference. So.
My dad used to pull that crap with us with the quarter on the bed. It's I want the basic. Yeah, he threw the cord on the bed, and we're like, "Yeah, but you joined the National Guard. Give me a break."
Yeah, there you go.
So you talk in your book, is it kind of a memoir too about your journey and building your real estate businesses?
Not a little here and there, just talked about, but it's basically the basics that we all need to do. It's like number one, know yourself. Don't be a square peg in a round hole, because too many people try to fit themselves into things that don't work for them.
Yeah, I used to be able to fit into a square hole, but then I sucked up too many cupcakes, and
I know that feeling. We all had 32-inch waists at one time, right?
Yeah, I used to weigh 110 pounds. Sucking wet.
When I came back from the war, it was 156. So yeah.
There you go, and then we find cupcakes, and
and other things.
Yeah, Jack Daniels. Yeah. Jack Daniels. I did the Jack Daniels here, the Wild Turkey runs. Yeah. So stop waiting to start. Pay attention. Learn to know yourself.
You have to do that.
Why is that important to know yourself? Because I've seen myself, and there's about 8 other personalities too with me. One says kill, kill, kill all the time. Judge says I can't use that one anymore. Yeah. But I don't really have a choice. It's just to roll the dice more, why is it important to know yourself? Well, you have to know your strengths, and what your potential is. Otherwise, what if you don't have any? You're going. Everybody has it. Everybody. I always say when I talk to people, I will say, love what you do, or do what you love, or love what you do. So if every job doesn't have the same pay rate because it's not the same skill level, but they still are important. If somebody doesn't clean the bathroom in the restaurant or the office, it's disgusting, and that creates an image. So the job is important. Doesn't have a high skill level, but it's still important. Definitely. In fact, I just read an article. Well, I didn't just read it. We talk about accomplishing things. There was a guy named Ronald Reed from Brattleboro, Vermont. He died in 2015. He was a custodian at the local hospital. And he also had a little part-time gig at a gas station. So when he died in 2015, he left the hospital $2.5 million. He left the library $1 million, and there was still like $5 million left over. Wow! So this is a guy who was a custodian. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and he just lived within his means and invested his money well, or did he buy Bitcoin? No, he lived. Fortunately for him, he was already gone when Bitcoin came out. But he lived within his means, and he had a little part-time hustle at the gas station, and he bought good things, and he held on to them. Didn't panic, and just it's all about. It's that whole thing about life's not a 100-yard dash; it's a marathon, and it's very trite, but it's true. It really is. We were talking on the show the other day. I don't know if this one's published. There's two that we did this week that's put off for a week or two until the book comes out. But we're talking about my father. My father he loved life insurance, but then he got into multi-level marketing, and he was constantly joining multi-level marketing companies. And he's like, I just got to work hard for 3 months, Chris, and I'll retire. Yeah. I'm like, Dad, anything of value, anything that you do, takes a lifetime to build or a long time to build. It does anything of value, and I see that in a lot of the younger generation, like within the Generation Z things, where just like they're like, I want to do that, and you're like, well, there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of years, and you're like, no, I want that now, and you're like, it's not the way it works, and we sometimes I see people call it the overnight success, like,
flash in the pan, right?
Yeah, all people say to me, well, it's great, you're successful, whatever, Chris, and I'm like, do you know any blood, sweat, tears, years, failures, trials, tribulations, and that was just last week. Right.
And I had a friend who started a podcast in 2007.
Holy crap! You might have been the original one.
I was on Blog Talk Radio.
Yeah, Blog Talk Radio. We started out there too.
Yeah, the problem is she quit. And in the book I talk about that. I call it the Valley of Dead Dreams.
The Valley of Dead Dreams.
We're on the hillside on the side of the valley. We're all pumped up. Everything, we're feeling great. Everything's going to go great. And then the work starts.
The work. Wait, there's work?
There's work.
We can't just have that vision and all comes.
It just comes just right there. Yeah, just kind of. And the work starts and drag. And sometimes the work just goes on. You know how it is.
You got to go through the valley, man.
Lots of work, no money.
It's like Nam. You're fighting off the natives and you're swiping through the brush and mud and muck and bugs and you're trying to find things.
Yeah.
And then you come across Marlon Brando in Apocalypse Now. And you're like, what the hell is going on with this dude? Yeah. And he's all saying stuff to you that's so weird. And
there's no Michelob Light or anything at the end of the trail. So
damn it.
Really?
Hopefully there's some Bud Light for people out there. It's a joke. 10 years from now, people aren't going to get that joke.
I know. Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Pabst Blue Ribbon, yeah, PBR.
That was the beer. It was cheap, so that's what they gave it.
And Playboy. You guys got Playboy too.
Playboy, yeah.
So there you go. So yeah, and the other thing is too is even once you start being successful, right, through the valley, you got to start climbing the mountain again, right, on the other side.
I always like to say, I stole this from somebody, but for every level, there's another devil.
That sounds like all my marriages.
Yeah, For every level, there's another devil. And for every marriage, sometimes there is too. But
it was probably me. I'm sure. I might have been the devil.
Take responsibility, right?
I do. It was all me, and I've been reminded of that often. But no, I mean this is really important. I like the valley analogy. Where people go through it. Geez, I mean, 2007, she would have been like a huge podcaster.
Yes, she would have been like the top of the heap.
Yeah, she would have been like. Who's
Chris Voss?
Chris Voss or that Rogan guy, Joe Rogan or whatever his name is, and who else is big in podcasting? I don't know. There's some other people who are big in it.
Dave Rubin, all those guys.
Yeah.
But the thing is, and that's the whole thing. She got discouraged. She was in the valley. Things weren't going, as fast as she wanted to go, and that's the big problem. It's the whole saying. Overnight success only took 20 years.
Yeah, the overnight success bit.
Yeah, but it's so true. And if people, get off that track and give up, they're never going to be successful.
That's true. That's true. You gotta. I mean, you just do the work, man. And like you say, you got to start. It's going to be a mess. There's going to be failures. But part of that starting time is working through all that stuff because it's not a perfect sale. And anybody who thinks they're going to have a perfect sale, well, if you get one, I've been ripped off because I've never met anybody who has. So I've
been looking for one for a long time.
You have a unicorn or star on your side somewhere.
Right.
You talk about in your book the compound effect. Tell us about what that is.
Well, that's what we talked about is everything you do compounds, and it's a slow, just like interest. It's a slow process, but at the end of the time period, the results are amazing, but you have to stay in the game. You have to keep going every day, and you have to keep doing it. I always like to say in the book, count everything because everything counts.
There you go. I was reading in the book, The Art of Clear Thinking. We were going to have him on earlier this thing. We mentioned him, and you were in the Air Force, so I brought that up. But he was talking about something about how also with the compounding, there's something called, I may get this wrong, the Prater effect. But basically, it's kind of like Moore's Law or something where the compounding effect really starts to capitulate and amplify itself
Right.
It seems like you'd mentioned the Prater effect. I was trying to remember the term, but where all the work that you've been doing, like you're talking about, in compounding, really starts to landslide, really starts to snowball.
Absolutely.
And then it really begins to scale on you. And half the time you're just holding on for dear life at that point, going, no, what do we do? And so that makes all the difference. And so you talk about how every action moves you forward towards that.
Every action, everything counts. I mean, it's all about the activity. And people forget about it. If you're going to go to the gym, you got to count reps, right? If you're going to lose weight, you got to count calories. If you're going to make sales, you got to count sales calls. It's just, if you're going to get married, you got to kiss enough girls, right?
Yeah, there you go. It makes it just something you got to just go do the work. I mean, do the work, go for the long ball. If you get rich overnight, hey, God bless you. You know, you hit a lottery. But you know, there were times where I created, like, what was it, 4 or 5 successful, profitable businesses in a row, small businesses, and I thought I was a god. I was just like smacking balls. And then one day we got we were involved with the business, and the owner, I guess, did a bunch of cocaine one day and bought himself 2 Ferraris with everyone's money. And the FCC came in and shut his company down that we were a subcontractor of, and Vesta went out the door. You know, we started finding out that, you know, I just kind of got lucky. And so, you know, not everything's a perfect run. You talk about the law of association. Let's dig into that a little bit.
Well, that's one of the acronyms I like to use is called make sure that you're in the right gang. And that's your goal.
The Bloods or Crips?
Goal achieving nudging group.
There you go.
Okay. Because, you know, it's your connections, who you associate with. Was it the guy named Charles Tremendous Jones, who was a famous speaker back in the day? He used to say, your life will be determined in 5 years by 2 things. 2 things. The books you read and the people you associate with. End of story. You know, and you don't find millionaires, you know, billionaires hanging around with Skid Row bums, unless it's Christmas and they're related to them or something like that.
Yeah. That sounds like my family reunions. No, I have a nice family.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
We all have the 1 or 2 in the black sheep.
We got 1 or 2 of those. In fact, I think I am the black sheep. I think that's the way it's worked out.
You're dressed in black, so you're all set.
Well, you know, that's it's slimming.
I know.
But, you know, you bring up a good point. A lot of people discuss this. You are the 5 people you surround yourself with. I think is the math.
Right.
Yeah. Which I'm surrounded by dogs, which they're huskies. So that explains why I'm covered in fur. Probably.
Well, you don't have a girlfriend probably either. So.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't afford one, and most women hate dogs. So no, they don't. That's not appropriate.
They do. They like animals.
They like the animals more than me is the problem. That's what it is. They're like, you guys are cute. He's smelly and old. And I'm just like, well, I mean, she has a point. So, you know, having, and plus who you know and who you have around you affects your mindset.
Absolutely.
Affects what you think about, what you talk about. You know, I used to have this business partner, and he liked his family a lot. He was a bit of a redneck, and I was a white collar dude, but he was a good business partner, friend for 20 years. But he loved to go back to his redneck family's farms on weekends, and he would always be, hey, Chris, go with me, and we used to go with him. And they would sit around, and, you know, they'd always have like some really weird anti-government things, you know, Illuminati, you know, the government's doing this sort of thing, and they're trying to take away, change the world, you know, that sort of whatever. They're just drinking beers, and you go down there, and like literally you could record one weekend of stupid conversations about the government and I don't know, whoever else is, you know, trying to do whatever. The UN's trying to do this, and you could record that whole weekend. And then you could play it for the next 50 fucking weekends, and it would be the same thing that they would talk about every time.
Yeah.
And after a while, I said to him, man, I love you as a friend, but I'm going mental because I'm
not going to visit your family.
I know you love them, but they're your family, not mine.
Right.
And so I had to stop going. But I mean, and it affected his mindset over the years. It really did.
Well, that's part of who affects your mind, your peers, your family. You know, besides the media and everything else, it's. And figuring out how they affect your mindset's crucial. Yeah. Because if you don't, then you make a lot of mistakes. I was going to tell you, how about if I give people the big secret right now?
Sure, let's do it.
So one of the chapters is about mastermind groups, and the new book is about mastermind groups, which will come out next year. Mm-hmm. But years ago, before I wrote my first book, I decided I was going to write a book, and I was going to do some speaking and training and things like that. And I ran into this woman who was a professional speaker and trainer, mm-hmm. and she wanted to start a mastermind group. Mm-hmm. So we decided we'll have coffee, we'll start a group, and that'll help both of us and the people in the group move forward. Well, mm-hmm. Make a long story short, that affiliation lasted for about 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Many people had said, I want to be part of your group. There's only ended up being 2 of us would say, I want to be part of your group. They come, they wouldn't come back. They come once or twice and, I'm too busy. Well, yeah, we're not busy, but you are. And so for 7 years, I've got my first book done and a lot of other projects done for both of us. Uh-huh. So what we did is we would meet once a month. We'd sit down and say, here's my goals. Here's your goals. We had copies of each other's goals. Then we wrote a check for $500 post-dated 30 days to the other person.
Oh.
And if you didn't do your goals, they got to have the $500.
Oh.
And it works.
There you go. So accountability group sort of thing. Yeah.
Probably number one. And recently I've been screwing around, was going to buy a van for my business for advertising purposes. And I've been looking for 2 years. I mean, come on. So finally I said to Justin, one of my staff, I said, if I don't get a van within the next 10 days, I'm giving you $1,000.
Wow.
I had a van within the next 3 days. But, because he would have held me to it. I don't blame him. And I said, sorry, Justin, you can pick out the mag wheels, but you're not getting $1,000.
Oh man, poor Justin. Wow.
So, I mean, if you really want to do something, you got to build that accountability in.
You do. Accountability was, I was supposed to write my book for 10 years, and I finally, me and my little friends joined a little accountability group, and we were like, we're going to write every day for an hour a day. And I owe them a lot because they kept my feet to the fire, kept me inspired, and we'd have little meetings and be like, how you doing your book? And we'd read it to each other and share notes. And I was really good at keeping my feet to the fire. And then, it kind of, for a while there, I was just kind of, going through the motions. Okay, let's do an hour. And then it just caught fire in me where I was just like, oh, wow, I really like what I'm writing about. This is really taking off. Here it's finally clicking. I'm getting it. And then, 1 hour went from 1 hour to 3 hours to 18 hours to, where I became Jack Nicholson in The Shining going, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy. And they're like, you should probably back off a little bit. Right. And then came the editing part. Still scarred from that. This is something that's really important where people can form mastermind groups. So you teach people how to do it. You recommend people do these mastermind groups?
Absolutely. I have. They can get. That's actually a mastermind group outline on my website. If they go, it's a free document they can get that gives you 10 steps to starting a mastermind group. That's at DennisMcCurdy.com. Yeah. And so, accountability, when you're young, you have your mom and dad to kick you in the butt. You have your coaches and your teachers, and maybe you have a good boss later on. Mm-hmm. Once you lose that, especially if you're self-employed, if you're on your own or you're a salesperson or you're self-employed or an entrepreneur, there's nobody around to kick you in the butt. And so, we need that no matter who it is. The other thing is, I think you need to, one of the acronyms I did. Remember the old one, KISSES, keep it simple, stupid?
Keep it simple, stupid,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I changed that. I call it KISSES, keep it simple, sustainable, easy, and supported.
I like that.
And the supported is your mastermind group, your coach, your goal buddy, your mentor, whoever's going to kick you in the ass. Mm-hmm. Who's going to say, suck it up, Cupcake, let's go.
Yep. Accountability is everything. It made all the difference for me. I probably need it back again. I need to write more and do more stuff. I mean, it was so good for me to have a competition, have other people.
Absolutely. So if you give me $1,000 check, I'll hold it for you. And then.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. We didn't really have a deal. We had some sort of thing at the end where, I don't know, somebody have to buy somebody dinner or something something like that. I don't know.
So whatever works.
Yeah, whatever works. I mean, at first it was just kind of fun, and we were, use it to keep it inspired. Because when you first start writing, it's kind of lonely. You're just kind of like
Right.
well, this, I don't know what's going on with this. And, we could run stuff by each other and things. Master the power of deliberate practice. Let's touch on that a little bit here.
That was deliberate practice comes from the research. There's a book called Peak, and it comes from the research, and the name will come to me in a second. Erickson. K. Anders Erickson, Peak Performance, correct.
Yeah.
And he talks about the fact that most people, and this is really important, that most people aren't savants or, proteges or whatever. It's all about practice. One of the things he talks about in there was Mozart. He said, well, people thought, 12, 14, Mozart was this genius. But the reality is his father was a music teacher. His sister was into music. And so by the time he was 3, he was already doing music. Mm-hmm. So by the time he was 12, he had 10 years of music at a time of your life where your brain is absolutely the most malleable. And so it just, he just sucked all that in. They say if you want to teach a kid 3 languages, you teach them while they're young.
Yeah.
So that's when we're most likely to learn things. And so that's what deliberate practice is about. It's about that. But it's also about, he talked in the book about making those small tweaks. So like if you're a swimmer, and you're counting your strokes, but you move your hand like this much difference, that can change the whole game. Mm-hmm. And you practice just that. Or if you're a speaker or whatever, you just practice just those sections and you get coached. And it's a lot of work. Mm-hmm. But if you really want to get to that level, that's the way you do it. The good news is we can all, without having to do crazy stuff, we can improve tremendously just with a little bit of coached good practice.
There you go. And sometimes it's those small tweaks that make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes it's, just the difference of, I was reading something that if you take your speed to a certain level, if you're driving a vehicle, you take your speed to a certain level, you're going to get a better result than if you go faster.
Correct.
And, there's kind of you kind of lose the value, the momentum or something. It's beyond my pay grade, clearly. So This has been pretty insightful, man, Dennis. I'm really excited to see your next book come out. Anything more you want to tease out on the book before we go?
How about read it? Buy it and read it.
Buy it and read it. Darn it.
There's a promotion on right now, so it's on sale right now for a promotion. So it's great to go to Amazon and get it. If I can say anything, I just say, think of what you want to do. Understand the valley of dead dreams, that you're going to have your highs and lows and your peaks and valleys, and you have to just keep going. There was a famous quote. It was a famous quote by Calvin Coolidge about persistence. And I remember 25 or 30 years ago exactly where I was standing in my office when I read that. And it talked about nothing matters except persistence. And I said to myself, you know what? I may not be the smartest guy in the world, but I can persist. Mm-hmm. And that's really probably the number one. Look at you. How long have you been going?
Yeah. I just keep persisting at it.
Keep persisting.
Someday we'll get good at this.
Right. A little bit of practice.
There's a lot of practice. No.
Yes.
There is. I go listen to the shows that we do 1 to 2 years ago, and I'm just like, seriously? What the hell is going on there? And we try and get better and better. We try and get our guest coach to be better and better. We just put out like a new rider that seems to be kicking and getting everybody, okay, we got to show up on the thing. And so, you're just always tweaking and trying to make it better. And I love the brilliant guests that come on the show. Right. And the education that I get, we learn so many cool things, especially about history and how to just be better people. And there's so many different variations on it, life. And
absolutely.
And our audience is amazing because they're so brilliant right now. They're like those giant aliens with the big heads at this point.
Yes.
I keep mine's mostly in the back so people don't see it unless I turn my head.
Okay.
So there you go. Yeah.
I
that's
noticed
the secret.
Yeah.
It gets lost in the green screen. I paint the back of my head green so I don't have that whole there's a whole alien head back thing there going. And it's my lizard skin too. So order it up, folks, wherever fine books are sold. Suck it up, Cupcake. Stop screwing yourself and get the life you want. Available July 26, 2022, and wherever fine books are sold. Thank you very much, Dennis, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. My pleasure.
There you go. And thanks so much for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe, and we'll see you guys next time.
And you can send me that check for $1,000 and I'll hold you accountable too. So.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. It might bounce. So
it's in the mail, right?
Might be a little. It's in the mail. Check's in the mail. All right. Thank you very much, folks, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.